I think as a creator, to be successful, you need to be authentic. So if you are an edgy, controversial person, I think you should go for that.
You'll find the brands that, are your type. You just be yourself. And
exactly.
when you're building brand on internet particularly, you can't be playing safe.
No. Absolutely. You need to be brave. That's one of the key challenges sometimes within the influencer space, that it's for brands that aren't used to it. Technology and AI is obviously advancing at such a rapid pace as well in terms of analyzing content, which the human brain simply just can't process. We're also moving in a direction where more automation will come into play as well in terms of evaluating expressions or, tonality. I think there will be shades of gray that we just haven't discovered just yet in terms of what AI will mean, especially within the creator space. For sure, we will see AI creators, but I also think there will be a request for just the complete opposite as well. What's just superhuman, super real.
This episode is brought to you by Phyllo, the universal solution for social media background checks and influencer vetting. If you work in background verification, brand reputation, image building, public relations, or influencer marketing, you know how crucial fast and reliable background screening is. With Phyllo Social Screening, you can run AI-powered social media background checks in just 15 minutes, spotting red flags, news mentions, and adverse media across platforms. Trusted by leaders like Global Background Screening, Gigan, Prembly, and Essential Screens, Phyllo Social Screening helps you save millions of dollars in crisis management. Check out the link in the description to book a demo today.
Hello everyone, this is Shubham Tiwari from Phyllo, the universal solution for social media background checks and influencer vetting. This is season 2 of Impulse. We are still ranking number 1 on Google when you Google influencer marketing podcasts. Thanks to the guests like we have today, and the listeners and viewers like you who are watching right now. So I'm thrilled as always to be joined by Jonas Westling, head of 9 Agency, a pioneer in the Nordic influencer marketing space and one of the top 30 influencer marketing agencies globally. Jonas has spent over 15 years shaping how brands and creators, from award-winning work like Arla campaign to building 9 Agency's proprietary campaign tools. Jonas has been at the heart of how influencer marketing matures as an industry. So we have a veteran in the house. So Jonas, welcome to Impulse.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's quite an honor to be a veteran within something. That feels nice.
Yeah, that must be feeling nice. And so let's start on a fun note. What's the last influencer campaign or social media trend you saw that which made you think, what is this? Like you couldn't make any sense of it basically.
To be honest, I have been reflecting quite a lot this summer over Jet2 holidays, which I think is unavoidable.
That's so
and although, yeah, it is. I mean, maybe not even by design. Usually viral things aren't. I think it's just, a great example of the power in what we do. Although, I mean, obviously that spiraled without control and become so large. But with that being said, who doesn't know about Jet2 holidays now? I mean, if we're not in their target audience, we might never be a prospective client, but we still know the brand, right? So I think it's a pretty good example of just what the internet, social media, and I suppose to some wider extent also influencers can do.
Do you believe that's the real virality? I mean, where it's not planned and people just take it upon themselves to create content around it?
Yeah, I think so.
My question is, can you make something viral? Do you have any control over that?
I mean, I think at its essence, no. Not the real virality, as you say, because it really needs to be driven by something else than commercial reasons. With that being said, I mean, who doesn't want to be viral for the right reasons, at least? But I think every now and then I meet brands that, have that, we want to be viral. And I suppose, ironically, with our Arla campaign, that kind of happened by design. Obviously not at a Jet2 holiday scale, because I think that scale, it's nearly, impossible to do. But I think for sure you can do it to some extent by design. I mean, I think if we look in Europe with the Ryanair, for instance, I mean,
I was about to come to that.
What they've been doing in with their organic content, I mean, fair play to them. They for sure cracked the code. So I think if you manage to be relevant and if you manage to actually sort of be what people expect it to be and a little bit more informal, you can for sure tap into it. Where I think it becomes dangerous is essentially where someone says, we're going to make this viral, because you can design it to be it, but that is no guarantee that it will be it, because there are external forces as well. So I suppose a little bit of skill and luck can get you there, but you need both in order for it to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of Ryanair, do you think a bit of irreverence is also required when you're building brand on internet, particularly? You can't be,
Yeah.
playing by, playing safe.
No. Absolutely. You need to be brave. I think that's one of the key challenges sometimes within the influencer space, that it's for brands that aren't used to it. They are so used to having full control of every single message that sort of comes out from them. But this isn't a channel that they own or that they buy in that sense. They kind of more like, it's more of a rented or loan channel to some extent, where you need to be able to accept variance and external force. And that requires a bit of bravery to some extent, but also, as you say, in terms of the messaging and what you do, that you kind of dare to have that personal touch to it. And I mean, the upside is that you as an organization can be a bit more human and a bit more approachable, because you speak to me in a way that I kind of expect to consume content on the platforms. But that for sure requires bravery throughout an entire organization. And that is quite a big thing, especially in big organizations.
Yeah. And these values, internet values, I call them, like being irreverent, being funny. So you've seen, this landscape grow from early blogger days to today's, global creator economy. So looking back, what's been the most exciting part of the journey for you personally? And I'm adding another question to it. How have the values evolved of internet, of building a brand?
Great questions. I think for me personally, I think the change and the pace of the change is what excites me quite a lot, because I like transformation, and when things are transformational, I kind of thrive in that. So this is such a transformative industry by nature. I mean, we started off being a very product-centered company, and we had the biggest blogging platform in the Nordics. And once that got off, it wasn't too long before, okay, so we have bloggers now, but they want to do collaborations, and Instagram started to become a thing, and YouTube and Snapchat, and that behavior sort of started to migrate across multiple platforms. That changed the industry. Change is just something that's very continuous and sort of fast-paced within this world. So I definitely think that's something for me that I enjoy, because I like that, and just exploring the new stuff. And of course now with AI and just what technology brings to the table, it's massive. So that I think is for me personally sort of what I enjoy being here, and that in combination actually that this is still a very human industry as well. I mean, there's very much human aspects. There are people everywhere that's to create the content, to deliver things, to sort of create the strategies. It requires a lot of human input as well, which I think it's not given anymore in the day and age of AI. That for sure I think is a big thing. In terms of values, I think the industry has been growing so fast as well. And with growth also comes increased demands. So I think the value is harder to come by, because there is just more people doing it and competition is more fierce, but it's also higher quality, and it's actually better because it's been growing, so there are more options and more alternatives. I mean, if we go back 10 years, a lot of people didn't know what they were doing when they were working with influencers. People can be a lot more deliberate right now. So I think also that increases value, so to speak, which is good because that's progress. I mean, and a very sort of natural development. I used to have some type of metaphor that I think influencer marketing has sort of left infancy. And I suppose we are now teenagers, maybe sort of borderline on sort of young adults. And within a few years, we will probably be full grown-ups and be, it's already an alternative to sort of traditional media and other medias, but for sure that it will also be equally accepted and equally respected, I think, towards and compared to other medias.
Yeah. And what I like about influencer marketing is like how culturally aware this space is. When a creator or an influencer, even a brand manager, because you come from Sweden, it's like one of my all-time favorite filmmakers is Ingmar Bergman. And
wow.
So when you see his film Seven Seal, Virgin Spring, and all, so you get a kind of a sensitivity, right? So as a person, Jonas Westling, what does Jonas bring to the table besides his expertise on influencer marketing, besides his expertise on marketing, let's say? So what is that extra that you bring to the table?
Oh, that's a good question. I need to reflect a little bit, I suppose. But I think me as a person, I'm curious, but I'm also a very firm believer that I think a key success generally for us over time has been in recruitment. And I have had a very strong inspiration when I read Steve Jobs' autobiography, 15 years ago maybe. There's this famous quote, he obviously has many famous quotes, but one of them that has been sort of resonated the most with me is that it doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. So I think my approach has always been that I'm not the sort of know-it-all person. I'm there to find persons that can be better than me in certain aspects.
Yeah.
And I think that approach has been a good thing for me in terms of understanding this industry, because I'm good at certain things, but I'm no expert in everything. I'm not good at everything. I need the right people around me to be that and to have a well-functioning team and organization. So I think that for sure, I believe a lot in that. I also believe a lot in freedom generally, not to be let people shape sort of what they do and put their own values into it. I think that's important as well, because that's also something that sort of breeds motivation and something that you kind of want in the workplace today. I have three main things generally that I try to relate to. That can I feel someone coming to work feel competent? Can I give them a sense that they are free to do things their way, but also that they can do it in an environment with other persons that they like and that they can gain something from? Then I think that's the sort of holy trinity for me in doing something for an organization that's supposed to be well performing.
Wonderful. Clearly, the work culture and the environment of 9 agency seems very conducive. Can you tell us how many people are there right now in your company, in your agency?
So currently we are 27. We are spread over a few different teams. So we obviously have the people who are out meeting clients and sort of the commercial side of the business, but also, of course, delivery in terms of customer success and just getting the campaigns well functioning and out there. But obviously, we're also a Phyllo client, so we have a tech team that are building our own products and our own software, which we utilize to manage all the campaigns and get the right numbers and data on things. And then, of course, beyond that, there's also the sort of the management side of things and supporting functions to the team.
Right. And can you also tell us how many clients you have right now at Edginess? If it's not a number that you can't share, then it's also fine. But just to
to be honest, it's a little bit dependent, because we have we usually tend to work with fewer clients, but where we take a bigger, more strategic approach to them. So currently I would say we are in about 50 clients-ish, which we sort of have a regular ongoing business with. But sometimes that's fewer, sometimes that's more. It's a little bit dependent on various factors, obviously. But we tend to prioritize quality over quantity in most of the things that we do. So for us, it's also important that, if a company approaches us, we want to be able to deliver some type of value to them. And sometimes that's just possible because of different factors. Because I think if we are to be able to be successful in what we deliver, there needs to be also, of course, some conditions that are there in order for us to be that. And because otherwise, there's no real point in having a collaboration with anybody if it's not a mutual value in it. So that's not from a place of hubris. It's more a place from, I suppose, being humble, actually, that, we should always be someone who brings something to the table, because otherwise there's no point to it.
I really like the people who use the word hubris in conversations. Such a great word.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It encapsulates a lot.
Yeah, being a reader, I'm currently sitting in my library. I have over 1,000 books. I really love these kind of words when people are using, instead of, pride or whatever, you use the word hubris. So my salutations. So,
well, I mean, it's. I have to say also, I like when someone can bring up Ingmar Bergman in a conversation. It's that's very impressive. You obviously need to read a lot to.
All of his films are impressive. So, I'm a huge fan.
I see that now that you have a T-shirt which says "Cinema is life."
Oh,
so
yeah.
I suppose contributing factor as well.
Definitely. Thanks for noticing. I didn't put much effort or thought into it today, but yeah, sort of came.
No, but
in handy.
we have common ground. Football and cinema.
Oh,
That's good.
yeah. Just for the audience, I'm an Arsenal fan. Jonas is a United fan. Two of the biggest clubs in the world. So
And we still manage to be polite and like each other. So
well, we've been finishing second for the last 3 years. So we have to be polite in particular. So
and United even more so.
yeah. So yeah, Jonas, zooming in a bit, the Arla campaign with 50 micro influencers. It was a global finalist. So first of all, please tell us what was the competition about, what was the campaign about, and what did that teach you about scale, creativity, how micro influencers fit into big brands narrative.
It's a great question. Quite a lot, to be honest. I mean, Arla is obviously the world's biggest dairy company, and they are, I would say, very proficient when it comes to marketing in general. They know what they're doing, and we were tasked with taking a sort of master brand message that they are communicating in multiple channels, but to essentially package that to be working within the space of influencer marketing. And the sort of core of the campaign, or sort of the core message, is to believe in good, which is essentially an overarching brand message that they have. And we were thinking about different ways in terms of how to approach that. And it concluded with that we created something essentially that was the day of good deeds, that profiles were to perform good deeds, big or small. It could be entirely, free in terms of its interpretation. And what was good about that was that we had the space and the opportunity to work with, 50 profiles is a pretty big number. That was the beauty of it, I think, that we could see so many different ways of interpreting that message. But we spoke about virality earlier, and that was something that we sort of wanted to tap into, if possible, with the campaign. So we essentially also made a structure where we used creators of different sizes with slightly different types of messages, where they were also encouraged to support each other and their own good deeds, to create a sort of wider movement in terms of these good deeds, because I think it's pretty relatable with good deeds, and it's also something that is a very sort of feel-good action, which I think everyone needs in their life, more or less at any time. So I think that was a strength, because I think in terms of creativity, if we're looking at that, it's I think it was very beneficial with Arla in the sense that they had a bit of the groundwork covered with a very sort of strong core message, but then we could just do sort of the translation to make this fit on TikTok, basically, and because it was a TikTok only campaign. And I think another point of success in it is that, we talk a lot generally about with influencer marketing, and as we spoke about earlier, also the difference between other types of marketing, that you sort of need to have this slightly reduced control, in the sense that the creator needs to have their input and their take on it. But we had the opportunity to make that into a strength, because we could essentially just provide the framework of the day of the good deeds and what that contained. But then everybody could do what they want. So for someone that was making breakfast to their father, someone else, did a fun day for their friend, and a third went out and interviewed people on town, basically. It was, 50 different interpretations of what that can do. So creativity was structured in terms of the core message, but also had 50 different inputs. And that, I think, was a sort of key success in that campaign. And it was the pure numbers now, but I think we overperformed sort of the estimates in terms of the output of the campaigns with almost 70%. So it was a great success. And then we saw the opportunity. Every year in London there is the Global Influencer Marketing Awards, where essentially companies from the industry all over the world are gathered, and there are 30-ish different categories where you essentially can submit campaigns or tools, or whatever that's sort of connected to influencer marketing, which are reviewed by a jury. And it was very nice to see that Arla campaign was shortlisted amongst the world's best micro-influencer campaigns during the last year. So that was fantastic. We ended up in the top 5 spots, which was amazing, to be honest. And I think the key was the same thing there. I think, utilizing creativity and having a good message, but also I think taking into account, what makes things, click on TikTok, basically. That's also a core message in it. Those, I would say, are sort of the contributing key success factors. And I suppose also Arla trusting us in to do what we can do, for sure, but also their work in establishing the brands and the products. And I mean, there was a Swedish campaign. Arla is a hugely well-known brand in Sweden. Everybody knows it. Everybody has a relationship to it. And that, I would say, is also very favorable conditions to work with, of course.
Wonderful. What's one thing that you think the industry still hasn't quite understood when it comes to measuring the true value of creators? Because you're saying that you overperformed by 70%. So you achieved your targets by 170%. Still, Arla understands, all of this. They are, sort of front runners when it comes to influencer marketing. But what are some of the, frequently asked questions or, queries regarding how you're measuring stuff?
Funnily enough, I still quite often, honestly, meet the question, why should we do influencer marketing? Because I think a lot of people struggle to understand. But I think that comes from different angles. Sometimes it is that they tried it 6 years ago with one big profile. It didn't end up how they wanted it. Or it's just that they are too far from it in their personal lives, that they don't sort of understand the phenomena and people sort of on the inside of it, what we see as something obvious. There are, of course, different angles to it, but for sure, I would say that is a lack sometimes of understanding the format, but I think also sometimes there's just a lack of strategy because, how are we to approach it? And I think if you as a marketer can understand where in the marketing mix and where in the sort of customer journey can influencer marketing make a difference to you, then it becomes a lot easier. Because, for instance, I mean, some things also that I think some companies sometimes don't understand is that they see influencer marketing as a very conversion-driven channel, and it's a very sales-focused channel, which it can be, absolutely. But in order to be able to sell through influencer marketing, that also needs to be a product that can sell in a digital environment. Not all products are created for that. And all customer journeys are so different. It's also that sort of, just because I do an influencer activation, I mean, if I sell, I don't know, a cheap commodity that, I buy quite frequently, that can be very successful because you can actually measure ROI from an influencer campaign. But if I sell something, I don't know, a car, for instance, I mean, obviously that journey from sort of brand awareness to a purchase is much longer. So I think that in itself is an important insight to just understand, where is influencer marketing going to make a difference to me? There have been so many examples over the past years of companies being so successful using influencers as their primary marketing strategy. And I think a lot of other companies look at that and say, hey, I also want to do that. I also want to be that successful and increase my revenue by, 10, 15, 50%, whatever, by using influencers. But what most people tend to forget those times is that those companies actually have their entire sales process designed to be done by that. And that's no small feat by any means. Yeah. So that's for sure one thing. And then if we look sort of utilizing influencer marketing higher up in the funnel, well, then you need to be sort of aware in terms of, okay, if we use it as an awareness campaign or as an awareness method to increase awareness across clients, well, how do we measure that? And how do we approach that? How do we compare that to other channels? And what's the sort of upside of it? So I think just understanding those sort of more overarching questions is usually, I think, where you can start to understand and devise a strategy. I think most marketers struggle with the fact that they see this as, they think of influencer marketing and they immediately start to think about, which profile should I use? But the real question is, what's my strategy for influencer marketing? And where should I begin sort of formulating that strategy? Then you can come down to the profiles, because there's no real idea in selecting profiles if they are not connected to a strategy, essentially. Anyway, so that I think is sort of something that is still something that is maturing and happening to this day.
Yeah, I also see this, mismatch of product being different and the marketing channel being very different. So I just, I'm currently in my hometown in India. So it's a tier 2 town. So I came back after a while. I was, going through a busy road and I see a billboard of Salesforce selling enterprise plans. So I'm like thinking, who's buying your enterprise plan in a tier 2 town in India, and you put a big ass, I was like, the marketer inside me was like very, confused. Why Salesforce? But
Yeah, that's actually very true. That's actually very true. But who knows? The upside of it is at least that we're talking about it here, I suppose.
oh yeah, definitely. We are not sponsored by Salesforce.
No, but I agree with you. Sometimes I really wonder sometimes where I see different companies or messages in formats that just don't make sense. And it's just, what's the rationale behind? And sometimes there is rationale behind it, but sometimes there's clearly not. And I think that's what most marketers struggle with sometimes, just gaining clarity. And how can I get numbers, and how can I understand what something gives to me? And that's tricky sometimes. I mean, brand awareness, I think I face companies which have extremely sophisticated measurement processes and tools for, tracking their brand position and how recognized they are in different segments and audiences and how different channels perform to that goal. But some don't do anything in terms of tracking brand awareness, but they still are very dependent on working with it. And of course, it's difficult because then you don't get any feedback from anything. Yep. So, I mean, that's a big struggle.
Right. Coming to another, topic of influencer vetting. How do you do it right now at 9? Is it mostly manual, or are you learning, how to integrate tech into this, flagging of risk before you, decide on, let's say, the 50 micro influencers that you worked with at Arla? So did you do background checks? How did you do it?
Very good question. I would say generally we have a combination of both manual and sort of automation in it. So when it comes to the analytical side of profile selection, we have always sort of a few set criteria. Those can differ from different clients, of course, as well, in terms of the thresholds. But to essentially be able to ensure that we can find, identify, and contact profiles that can support the sort of overall strategy and goal. Because obviously some profiles, they are better at creating, converting content. Some are better when it comes to awareness metrics and such. So there we can definitely narrow down and sort of vet them from an analytical standpoint. And of course, that also comes to those obvious types of things, with do they have real followers, and, how engaged are their followers, etc., and where are they based, and just those type of basics. But then also, of course, when it comes from a performance level on top of that. When it comes to the content side of things, we're quite, I would say, narrow in our geographical reach where we perform campaigns. Okay. So there we can actually still perform that from a manual standpoint, in terms of that we actually can keep track of most profiles and sort of know them and vet them through the experience of the team. I mean, they see thousands of profiles each week and know those detailed questions. I think a funny example of it is that we had a client a few years ago that were selling wood-burning stoves, and the criteria was that we needed profiles that already had a wood-burning stove at home. Okay. So, I mean, super niche criteria. Yep. But then it's nice to be able to go out in the room and just ask someone about that, and they can give you 5 names off the top of their head just because they know those things. With that being said, I think technology and AI is obviously advancing at such a rapid pace as well, in terms of analyzing content and, getting into details at scale, which the human brain simply just can't process to that extent. So I think we're also moving in the direction where more automation will come into play as well, in terms of, evaluating, brand safety and sort of just the soft values of things, and be it expressions or, tonality, whatever. I always think I see merit in having a human touch to profile selection, but I still think also there's still space for more automation as well, for sure.
Definitely. Another question from, influencers' point of view. How edgy or funny an influencer should be, before they don't get flagged as risky? because we were discussing how being irreverent and edgy, like Ryanair, for example, they can use any words, they can do anything. So what's that that gray area which you should not cross? How funny can you be?
Really good question. I think it's funny, because one aspect of it is so dependent on who you are. Some people tend to get away with saying anything, and some people can't get away with anything at all that they say. So I think it really comes down to who the person is and how they are able to express themselves in terms of how controversial can they be. Because with some, controversy comes down as a flaw. With some, it just comes down as something funny. But obviously, I think the more edge you have, of course, it requires also more bravery from clients. So there's definitely some type of middle road there in terms of how far you dare to go. But I think there's also the ones that maybe, if you're too cautious, I think that also has sort of an alternate cost, because there are also those types of companies that they want a little bit of edge. They don't want to play it too safe. So I think there's so many aspects at play here, because I think there's definitely a cultural aspect to this as well. I mean, if you look at Scandinavia and the Nordics in general, I mean, we're generally quite politically correct in our way of being. And I mean, for us, the Danes are maybe the ones who are the most edgy and take things less seriously. And we Swedes are probably known as the most politically correct within sort of the Nordic sphere. But so there are nuances still in just our small part of the world. And I mean, if we look at the world at a bigger stage, this would obviously come into play as well. So, but I definitely think if it is to be simplified, I think as a creator, to be successful, you also need to be yourself. I mean, you need to be authentic. So if you are an edgy, controversial person, I think you should go for that, because I think it's tricky to be a person that becomes a content creator today with the sole purpose of making money. People will see through that at some point.
You'll find the brands that are your type. You just be yourself.
Exactly. And then, of course, some will be more, I suppose, marketable or more brand safe for a wider array of brands. But still, I think even if you are a niche creator within a certain space, you are also limited in terms of the collaborations that you do. And that can be fine. I mean, I think, looking at skincare profiles generally, for instance, I mean, they tend to be more expensive than their equivalents within lifestyle, for instance, just because they're very narrow in terms of the number of companies that they can collaborate with. So that puts a different price to it. So I think from a commercial aspect, you can be successful and controversial at the same time. You just need to sort of be aware of what you do. Let's see where cancel culture in general goes. I mean, some people seem to be immune to it, some people don't, but that as everything is in constant change as well.
And speaking of partnerships, Mark Goldbridge recently got, the broadcasting rights of Bundesliga on his YouTube channel, That's Football.
Did he? I didn't know that.
Just yesterday, it was announced that 20 of the games, he will, live stream on his channel officially.
Wow.
So
that's incredible.
My mind was blown, because I've been following Mark Goldbridge for the past 10 years, and I've seen his evolution. So I'll throw a question at you. What kind of partnerships, whether tech, platform, or in this case, creator driven, do you think will define the next phase of creator economy now?
It's a very good question. I think that in a world where so much today is fake, I think we might see an opposite movement, where people will start to require more of what's, pure and real and human.
So you're saying there's no scope for AI creators, I
think there is. I think there is. I think that's definitely a certain space. But I think for the world as a whole, I mean, there's so much about AI still also that is still sort of, we don't know yet what's going to happen. I saw this, was it an MIT study that came out this summer, where they discovered that brain activity was significantly reduced, and also memory, and that there was actually some long-term implications with people using AI. So I think those types of things over time, as we learn more about how it affects us and what happens, it's probably going to shift. I mean, it's been a very much of an upward trend with AI, and still is, and there's so much benefit to it. And it's not that I'm any type of anti-AI person by any means. I use it a lot myself, but I think there will be, shades of gray that we just haven't discovered just yet in terms of what AI will mean, especially within the creator space. I mean, for sure, we will see AI creators. That will definitely be a thing. But I also think there will be a request for just the complete opposite as well. What's just superhuman, super real, because that's what makes us feel connected. And that's what brings some type of just human value at the end of the day. So, but there's nothing saying that those two can't coexist, I think. I think there's so much merit to technology and AI. So it's just more about, the right time and the right place for humanity and the right time and the right place for AI, automation, technology, and that we can find our way in that. But I think either way, that is definitely, I think, what's going to shape the next phase, not just in this economy, but I think in the overall economy.
Yeah, wonderful. If you weren't leading Nine, what passion project or alternate career path might we have found you on?
Wow. Well, obviously, I want to say that I would be in the starting 11 of Man United, but but to be honest, I have a.
But what is your position in football? Like, would you have been a striker or a midfielder or?
Oh, well, you know what? I've actually heard from people that I'm similar to Bruno Fernandes, so I suppose I would have to be an attacking midfielder then.
Nice. That's the only United player that I like.
But, yeah, to be honest, me too. After the past season, no, but that's the boy dream, obviously. But actually, my background before I got into marketing and everything, I've been doing a lot of different things. But I have been a DJ. I've been a professional ballroom dancer. Once I was in the Swedish national team. So maybe those have been career paths if I hadn't found myself there. But the one dream, I suppose, in terms of professional life, which I haven't, except Man United, and realized just yet, is I've actually always felt a calling or an urge to work within the police force.
Wow, that's
so who knows down the line what might happen, but
somehow movie Departed came to my head. Martin Scorsese Departed, the policeman being with
that's definitely something. Obviously, I mean, movies and culture is something very close to my heart as well. So maybe within that industry as well, I think I want to do a lot of different things. I'm so curious of stuff in general. So I could do probably anything and be interested in it. But if I have to narrow it down, let's go with police.
That's wonderful. Being a policeman's son, I know it's an exhilarating space.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's wonderful. And I think a lot of writers also come from Nordic countries. They write scintillating, novels, thrillers, and all these novels. So
yeah,
best writers
are obviously affected by media in that sense and just what you consume. So what type of footballer would you have been? Would you have been a striker or?
I would have been a left winger maybe because.
Yeah. You got the pace.
Yeah, I used to run 100-meter dash also. I'm a state player, state runner. So I thought I could always run down the wings. So
yeah, for sure. You're locked in at wing, and I can feed you the through balls.
Definitely, Jonas. This has been really wonderful. Couple of rituals that we make our guests go through. Can you give us a book recommendation? It can be your all-time favorite or something that you might be reading right now.
Yeah, I'm actually reading an incredible book right now. I think it was released in the 70s. It's called The Perfume. It's written by Patrick Süskind, I think, is German. It's about a man born in 18th century Paris. And he has a few different disablements, but he has his ability to feel scent and smell is second to none in the entire world. And his favorite smell is those of young women in Paris. And it's an incredible book. It's very special and quite weird, but it's actually one of the best and most intriguing ones I've read in a long time.
There's a film on it also. So
it is. Obviously, you know it. You've read a lot. So How do you like it?
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful. You should watch the film also after you're done with the book.
Yeah, I have to.
Classic, I would say.
Good to know. I've also been reading a lot, but I haven't heard about it yet. So, you seem like the type of guy you should come to for a book recommendation.
I'm into all kinds of books. Right now I'm reading this. I'll show you. I'm into sci-fi right now. H.G. Wells, The Invisible Man.
I've heard about that one. Isn't that the one that was also made into a movie a few years ago? Yeah.
So I'm into all kinds of books. So sports, investigative journalism, cinema, sci-fi, you name it. And of course, I've read the likes of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoos, which have come out of the Nordic countries. So yeah.
Wow, you sure know Sweden. You got Edginess and Stig Larsson, Ingmar Bergman. Very impressive.
Thank you so much, Jonas. The only thing left is a visit to Sweden, which I'll plan soon. That's the only thing left.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I will set you up with everything you need.
Oh, thank you so much. You're too kind. Last ritual. Would you like to nominate someone for our show?
Oh, wow. Good question. Of course I would. I'm just thinking who would be a suitable guest. But is it mainly on is it someone who works with influencer marketing on a general basis? That's sort of the best person for you to speak with?
Somebody who's in your...
I have a great person for you. He works as an agent for Profiled. He is also a big reader, generally intelligent person. So Johannes Gustafsson, I will recommend and nominate for this podcast. You guys should definitely talk.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Jonas, for your time. This was lovely. Thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. And what you're doing at 9 is, of course, exemplary. We all follow your lead. And I'm sure there is so much to learn from this episode. Besides, all the football stuff and the cinema stuff for the influencer marketers who are watching. So thank you, Jonas. Any last words? Anything that you wanted to say and I didn't ask you? You can share.
No, I'm just so grateful to have been invited. Super great to meet you and talk to you. And sorry to all the listeners for all the football talk, but we get carried away sometimes. So no, just a big thank you. And also a big thank you to Phyllo. I mean, Phyllo is amazing. I can thoroughly recommend it to anyone who is looking for data solutions within this space.
Thank you so much, Jonas. You're too kind. Hopefully we'll record the next episode with you in the next season in person when we visit Sweden.
For sure. You can come to me. I can come to you. I never been to India, to be honest, and that's on my to-do list. So let's see where it takes us.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Jonas. And thanks to our audience for sticking with us. Please let us know what you thought of this episode. You can comment, if you're watching on YouTube, and we'll put, all the links of 9 as well as Jonas's LinkedIn profile. And if he has put any ballroom, dance videos on Instagram, we can put his Instagram also.
For sure.
But yeah, thanks for being a great audience. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.
Impulse, the influencer marketing podcast, is brought to you by Phyllo. Phyllo is the easiest way to get access to authenticated creator data from hundreds of different platforms. To know more about Phyllo, visit getphyllo.com. That's get, PHYLLO.com. Also, make sure to search for Influencer Marketing Podcast in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Podcasts. And don't forget to click subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Phyllo, thank you so much for listening.